and then we thought we were coming in. We got a little confused. We got a huge 10 come in with a kicker, and for a second we thought it was him. This is a hunt from early 2016 in September of the year in Kentucky. Here we are in Kentucky. It's opening day, September 3rd, 2016. We're hunting the afternoon here on a new piece of land we just got, and there's a really nice deer here. It was a 10-point last year, about a 140 class. He really blew up this year. I think he's a typical 12. He's got a lot of mass, a bunch of kickers and stickers. And we were hunting a deer we named Trump. It was an election year, 2016, and Donald Trump was running for president. So, thinking of deer names to call some of the deer we were following, this one stood out for us. So we've been scouting him out all summer. He's been coming out to these bean fields at night. We set up in a little finger of woods where he comes out every night. It was a new spot that we had never hunted before, and it was kind of an unusual area. We'd been patterning this deer all summer, coming out to the bean fields, and there was a little finger of woods that stuck out further out in the fields, and it was actually a draw where a lot of the water would come out of the fields and wash down. It was kind of a dry creek bed. But it was a really good spot, we felt, because the deer could approach from the sides and our wind would blow down the gully, hopefully away from where they were coming.
Those beans went out straight. He always says no, they're better. They come in and they cross. Yeah, it's like a cross between Trump and big beans.
Every time I like to get into a stand for the first time, I like to check, where are my shooting lanes, practice standing up, moving around, drawing your bow both from a seated position and also from a standing position, making sure there's not a limb in the way or something that would hamper the shot. Kind of a nerve-wracking opening day, is already nervous enough. It's the first time you've been hunting all year, September. And we were, flinging those last few arrows before we went out into the stands, and I pulled back my bow, and all of a sudden the limb snapped on the bow, which, luckily we had our friend Ben Mackey lived down the road. We knew he had an extra bow, so he had not gone in the woods yet, so we got in touch with him. And Glenn Eilers, my hunting buddy who filmed this hunt, is a wonderful bow mechanic, and he was able to rig the bow up quickly for me to shoot, at least get 20, 30-yard shots done, and got confident enough to head into the woods with this bow that wasn't mine, that I had been practicing with. The first deer that came in was this doe, and as often you get several does come in first and then maybe some smaller bucks, but she came in first, and that was kind of the moment of truth. We knew we had good wind, but we wanted to make sure the wind wasn't flowing right down to where the deer were coming from. She put her head up and kind of looked around a little bit, and it kind of made us nervous that maybe it wasn't the right wind for the set. But she calmed down and went back to feeding, and the other deer started coming in, and they were totally unalerted, so we knew we were in the right spot. We've noticed that once you get several deer in the area, their nervousness seems to taper down, and they know they have many sets of eyes and noses and ears there. So it almost makes it easier sometimes when you have more deer. The only challenge is sometimes that you never know, there could be a deer behind you, and when you go to draw or do something or move, another deer is looking at you that could scare the whole group. On this particular hunt, we had known this big deer we called Trump was in the area. He was a 5-year-old deer that the year before was a nice 140 class deer, but he just blew up into this huge deer. We had several other big deer show up that we knew were in the area, but nowhere near this. And this bachelor group that we thought was 2 or 3 bucks, all of a sudden we had 4 or 5 bucks come in, and several were in the 150s, 160s. That when they first came in, we thought it was our target deer. This spot we also was beneficial. This spot not only being in the shade to protect us from the heat, but also we had the sun directly to our back, and having that sun shining in the deer's eyes makes it harder for them to see you. Not only puts you in the shade, but then when they look up, they have a less of a chance of making you out, moving to draw your bow or stand up and move on the deer. It's also beneficial when you have multiple deer in to watch their body language, because often when they see another deer approaching that you can't see, that you'll see their heads go up, and you can tell by the way they're looking that something else is on its way.
had more bucks in than we thought were coming in. And we got a little confused. We had a huge 10 come in with a kicker, and for a second we thought it was him. And then we waited, and then 3 other bucks came up. And I could see a huge one in the back. And they got real aggressive with each other. I can't believe it.
I got confused.
There's so many big deer
so
coming
many big
in.
bucks in here. I was like, which one's which?
Yeah. He came in, put his head down. I mean, it was broadside. I let it fly. It was a little awkward shot. I was sitting down, but it was a little back, but I think we're good.
That's 2.3 inches of range, baby.
Yeah, little.
Should be all right.
It was a little high, a little, and back a little bit, but I
Pretty
think.
good sharp down angle.
Yeah, good angle, so it should go down. Thanks, buddy. Oh. I mean, we had deer all around us. I thought we were going to get
I thought
winded.
we were done behind us.
I know. And more bucks must have showed up. I guess people are out scouting, and they probably bumped new deer. Is that 10 a new deer?
I don't know about that 10.
He's huge.
I know. Well, that deer's 160, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, there he is. Oh my God. Look at that. He's done. Oh my God. Look at that thing. Oh, watch out for the fence. Oh my goodness. Gracious. Look at that thing. Wow. That is incredible.
That thing is giant.
He's huge.
Look at the mass on him.
He's perfect. He unstripped. That velvet is just priceless. He just stayed on his summer pattern, and we put up the set and figured out where he was staging, coming out of these woods. And Kent went back in there, and it happened opening day. And
It's a good way to start the season off.
yeah, I was a little worried. Went, about an hour and a half before we were about to go in the woods. I went to shoot a couple last arrows, and my bow snapped. And my buddy Ben fixed me up with his backup bow, and Glenn scrambled to get it ready, and we got it good enough to make this shot on this deer.
Definitely did the job.
It did the job.
I mean, you didn't go, what, 150 yards maybe?
Nope, didn't even go over the hill. I mean, we got a bit of a hill to go up, but if he had gone straight down here, we would have.
It'd have been an all-nighter.
It would have been all night trying to get this thing out.
I mean, look at that. A typical 1, 2, 3, 4,
7 by
5,
6?
6, 7 by 6.
7 by 6 with kickers and a split brow, and just an amazing deer.
Very unique. It's hard to find a typical deer with 7 points.
This is last year I was fortunate to kill the big non-typical, and this is my biggest typical ever. And he's got everything you want in any deer, a Kentucky deer that has mass, main beams and tines, and just a really neat deer. We didn't get a ton of footage of him because he came right in and gave us a great shot, and we took it a bit far back, but it did the trick. The rage went through him, and he only ran about 150 yards. So let's get him out of the woods.
Yeah.
Thanks, Todd. The only thing I'd add is, we later had this deer officially scored 188 and change. It's a typical deer. It had a few little non-typical points, but really a typical frame in velvet, in the velvet category, and just really testament to letting some of these 4-year-olds go that really show promise, and that they can come back and be really spectacular.